Welcome back, man.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Another fight week. How you feeling?
Feel good. Ready to go.
Take me through kind of, I guess, the mental side of how you prepare for things at this point. I mean, once you get about 14 fights into your career, are you figuring stuff out about yourself from fight to fight, and you're making little tweaks with how you prepare for a week like this?
Honestly, no. I mean, I feel like competing for me has always like been the same thing, especially with wrestling. It's kind of very similar. So just relax, chill. You know, I'm a very easygoing person, so I just relax, do what I need to do to be prepared and physically, and everything else handles itself. You know, I don't really think too much about it.
This is 3 fights for you in about a year's time, not calendar year, but within a year of each other. Is that the kind of pace that you like to keep at this point?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I had a 7-month layover.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know what I was doing with myself. All I was doing was lifting the whole time and, you know, working out as much as I could. So it was, no, I would like to fight at least 3 times every calendar year, minimum. You know, if I can get a 4th in, great. You know, this is all I do. So I don't have I feel like that's just wasting time.
Mm-hmm.
7 months just sitting at home, you know, for what? And especially when I'm willing to fight anybody. So I don't think it's not, you know, I'm not playing the little games of who I get to fight and when and where type thing. Whoever wants to fight, I'll fight whenever, you know. So, no, I would like to fight more often. You know, at least no more than 3-4 months in between fights.
After the win in April, you had mentioned, I guess, that your next one you would prefer Johnson or Vassell to try and get those losses back. This is not either of those guys. I mean, are you happy with this matchup, and are those guys still fights that you're looking to get back at some point?
I mean, definitely, I'm always looking to get the losses back. But again, you know, like, I used to focus more on like who I was fighting and when I can fight them and things like that. And there's so many more politics that, you know, that goes on behind that I can't control. And those are uncontrollable. So I feel like I can't focus too much on that. You know, Bellator tries to line up the fights that they can, and if these guys have situations or problems that occur that we don't get lined up, then, you know, so be it. But at this point, it's just, you know, really just trying to get to the belt. So if there's a fight that advances me forward in the rankings that get me a better shot at the title, then I don't really care who it is.
There are guys who would recognize the politics behind the scene and they would try to insert themselves into it or try to influence the politics. Are you not one of those guys who would be like, you know what, if I do this or say this, maybe I can get to what I want faster, and you just would rather stay your authentic self, for lack of a better term?
Yeah, I'm not gonna cause some rift or beef with some guys that are cool. Every time I see Tim, we're cool, we talk. Every time me and Linton used to train together, so me and him have a relationship. So I'm not gonna cause some fake beef just for a show. I think that's corny, you know what I mean? Like, they know I want to fight them, I talk to them personally. They know that, you know, I want to fight them, so it's not something that I'm afraid to talk to them about directly to their face. So, no, I don't need to cause any beef and put on the show to make it seem like this needs to happen right now type thing. You know, like I said, really I just want the belt. So whatever fight gets me closer to that and gets me higher in the rankings, I'm fine with it.
Talk about this fight in particular. I mean, as a guy who's been around for a bit, but largely on the regional scene, and then I guess recently overseas. Did you figure out what you needed to figure out about him, or was kind of studying and prep work for him a little different than for somebody like Johnson or Vassell, who you'd be able to easily find their Bellator fights?
No, I mean, I you know, putting his name in Google and finding his fights wasn't too hard. Mm-hmm. So being able to watch what he's been doing over the last few years was pretty easy to find. And no, he seems, you know, like a striker, kickboxer, comes out with a lot of jabs, steps to you a lot. So no, it wasn't hard to break him down and figure out what to do.
As you look ahead, do you feel like 2023, you know, get those 3 or 4 fights a year like you're talking about, you'll be, you know, get all those as wins, you're over that speed bump that was the Vassell fight. By the end of next year, maybe you're talking about something like a title shot?
Again, that's not even my job. You know, I just got to keep winning fights, and hopefully that happens. You know, who knows when that type of stuff happens. So just focus on winning the fights.
Hey, over here. You know, we lost Rumble Johnson a few days ago. What can you say about his legacy that he's leaving behind?
Overall, he was such a good person. You know what I mean? He had a very kind heart, and, you know, he was very soft-spoken and just easy and fun to be around. He was always like a good mentor and a good person just to, like, ask for advice, ask for, like, how you were doing in the fights and see what he thought. And, I mean, when I first started getting involved in this sport, I was a wrestling coach with the Black Zillions. And I had never met somebody who came into practice so intense. I mean, just to be with guys that you would be hugging, laughing with. 2 seconds you put on the gloves and he's trying to knock your ass out. Like, and it's not, it's in a vicious way, but it's not malicious, you know what I mean? Like, he's doing it to make you better. He's trying to make you see your holes and give you a good workout too. So it wasn't anything crazy, but it was the intensity he brought to every workout. Showed me something, and I was just there being a wrestling coach, and he was a big push and motivation to be like, hey, Tyrell, you should do this sport. Like, you can be good. You have a lot of success. And so it's crazy just to hear, like, out of nowhere somebody's life can be taken away, and end. So he's a great person overall and a fighter as well. So, I was very sad to hear about his loss.
Do you aspire to be like him moving forward with your career?
Of course, I want to knock people out in a vicious way too. Like who doesn't? This is the name of the game. Like that's what I mean. Like watching him at practice got me an attitude. Like I practice with that same intensity. I'm shit talking. I'm in your ass at practice. You know what I mean? That's just the kind of guy I am. And I think watching him at the beginning was a big influence to be like, this is the kind of energy, kind of mindset you need to have at practice, because that's gonna cross over to the game. The live shit. So it was good. No, I definitely inspired to be someone like him.
Awesome, thank you.
Tyrell, it seems like every morning you've been going on these long runs with Cedric Cantapa. I don't know how to say his name.
Yeah, good luck.
Well, I was going to ask, is this something that you've done for all of your training camps, and what makes Cedric a good person to run with?
Well, I always have running with Cedric in the morning, and we do sparring, and he does everything. Like that's what's crazy. Cedric never complains and always working. And he's from Africa, so I don't think many people can run like them. So if I can stay on his tail, then I'm doing pretty well, I feel like. So that's why my coach always makes sure I've got Cedric in front of me, because then he's going to push me and motivate me to just keep going and not give up and just try to do something different.
So we just had Sully in here before. You guys are fighting on the same card. He told us about how back in the day he used to hit him with double legs, throw him into the bleachers and whatnot. So you and Sully on this card, then on the UFC card the next day, your teammate Kevin Natividad and Waldo Cortez Acosta, someone you spar with. Do you think that this is going to be one of the best weekends for Arizona MMA in recent memory?
I hope so. I really do hope so. I think we should all be successful in our fights and bring it home, to Arizona, and we'll all probably get together and celebrate. So it'll be nice to have everybody have success this weekend.
And then your coach right there, Trevor Lally, he's undoubtedly done more for the sport in the state of Arizona than anyone walking the earth right now. I'm curious, what has he done for you specifically in your career, and how much do you credit your success to Trevor Lally?
Everything since day one. I mean, he's always been behind me, supported me, pushed me, and gave me the knowledge to be successful. He's more than just a coach to me. He's like a guy, my best friend. We have a relationship in the gym, outside the gym. I talk to him almost every day. So he's somebody he's not replaceable, and to everything that he's done for me in my career, it's him, so no, I can't be more thankful to have a coach like him in my side.
Thank you.
I can follow up a bit more on cardio, since you spoke about running and sparring a little bit. In historical interviews, Kenny Velasquez, who many Daniel Cormier considers him the most cardio-intensive fighter of all time, he said he sparred as much as possible. And then you have someone like Tony Ferguson, who never spars in training camp, at least according to himself. So how would you describe your priority with sparring, and how do you describe your cardio in your training?
We try to spar every day. We try to spar. I've sparred every heavyweight in kickboxing, boxing, MMA in the state of Arizona. So I look for sparring as much as I can. It gets to a point where I will pay people for rounds because I just want some continuous sparring. So no, we love to bang at our gym. That's what we do. But it's hard, finding heavyweights who want to compete like that on a consistent basis every day. That's the tough part, especially with MMA. If I can grab you, wrestle you, and do everything, it makes it even more difficult, I feel like, for my partner to get up and say, hey, I want to spar again tomorrow. But it's just something you kind of have to keep figuring out how to do it and take care of your partners a little bit more. And it's really the heavyweights that I have right now, that we're building a pretty nice camp. I think I shouldn't have no problems here in the next few months, but who knows? Like I said, we try to spar 4 times a week, 3 times a week is at minimum. So.
Tyrell,
Tyrell, you're fighting a hometown guy. Are you expecting boos coming out, and are you kind of prepared to be the spoiler on Friday night?
Yeah, I'm expecting boos. I really don't care too much for boos or hoorays, whatever. You know what I mean? It's not what I'm here for. Obviously, yeah, I'm fighting somebody in their hometown, so that's why we in Chicago. So I'm just trying to get out. Win the fight, beat them up, get out. You know what I mean? Get home.
Not going to do a lot of sightseeing after this fight?
Not at all. Not at all. I'm going to the bottom of the hotel at max.
Tyrell, you've been wrestling your whole life. Can you talk about how hard the transition was, or if it was hard, going from wrestling to straight MMA?
The biggest adjustment was punches and kicks. Being hit, your body isn't conditioned to take that from wrestling. There is no striking. So that was the biggest adjustment for me. And once I could feel comfortable with seeing punches and kicks come at me, then I feel like I started to evolve a lot faster. But at first I did have a little issue with that. Even my coach's brother will tell you, he used to, man, I don't know if this kid's going to be able to do this sport. I don't know if he has it. And so it was that to me at first was a little nerve-wracking, but you get used to it over time. You know what I mean? It's not, no one sees punches and kicks every day just unless you're striking. You know what I mean? So that was the big adjustment coming from wrestling, is that and the body conditioning of kicking and punching. So.
And what was your biggest advantage from being in the wrestling room your whole life to now just coming into MMA and being able to take people down? Like, how do you feel your advantage has been just wrestling your whole life?
I think for the most part, if anybody, obviously the fight with Linton was the most, success somebody had with wrestling against me. I went into that fight with an injury, but I'm not making it, that can't be an excuse because I still walked into the cage. But no, I feel like anybody who grabs me or I grab them, I'm definitely in the advantage, and I'm not worried about it at all. So I think that is what carries over from wrestling the most, is the confidence to know that when we're in a grappling situation, I'm going to be successful.